Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Social Marketing for Business. This is our June event. Today we're going to be talking about creating successful content generation. So what we do is get together once a month and talk about different topics that deal with different aspects of social media. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. And so when we put together this group, we wanted to create a group of people that could get together and say, you know what are the ideas that I'm using? How many people here today are in charge of content generation? I kind of live under the premise, and I've had this conversation with several different professionals here lately, that every professional who works out there, I believe, is going to start having to be responsible for content generation. So there's going to be a fundamental change in people's job descriptions, I think. Even if you're a corporate accountant, or if you're a whatever, if you want to be successful in this world, I think people are going to need to be able to say, hey, here's what I think, and here's how I think, and here's who I am, and you can get to know me better. Instead of going out there and saying, I'm going to target customers. What businesses should be doing is engaging people in a community around their brand so that their customers and their clients are building their brand out there for them. What kind of content do you guys consume? Do you guys read every email that you get? Who, right? Every email? Yeah, every email. So no. What do you guys, what kind of content do you guys read? Yes?
If I want to buy something, I'll read reviews about the product.
Third-party reviews, right? If I'm going to stay at a hotel, or I'm going to travel, or I'm going to eat at a restaurant, over 85%, 87% I think is the number of people who are going to stay at a hotel read the other people's reviews. What I guess I would say is, does your website, does your marketing plan have a way of people sharing their experiences with your brand, and are you providing reviews so that people can pick that kind of stuff up? So if I don't know what my brand experience should look like, and what's neat, and what's of value, and what's of interest to people, how would I possibly be able to put it out there to other people in a way that's meaningful? What would some of those things be?
Well, I've got people in restaurants, dining. I've got some of the shots of the food and things like that.
And so this is the experience you're going to have when you do business with us. How are we going to add value to people when they're swamped? There's information overload. I'm doing my best in the world to get rid of information, right? Get rid of it. And now I'm going to say, I want to hear from you. How do you do that?
Well, I see people, sometimes it seems like all of a sudden they decide they need to get on the social media bandwagon, and all of a sudden they got a blog, and they got their daily, they got this, they got that, and it's like, how many people can you read all the time? How much time do you have?
You have to decide, right? Constantly deciding, right? And you're going and going and going, and as human beings, we've made fundamental shifts in the way that we do things. If my family always bought Zenith TVs, I would buy a Zenith TV. If my mom bought Heinz ketchup, I would always buy Heinz ketchup. This is just what we do. We drive Fords, right? It used to be 76% of people would say, this is what I do, or this is the car I drive. Jennifer?
I might still do that, but now I'll look at every social channel I can and read reviews and what people thought of it, and I might be loyal to that brand because my family's always bought that brand, but now I do my own research to justify that brand.
So you're more willing to jump.
Yeah.
Steve?
One thing, talking about brands, because brands used to be trustworthy and reliable, and today brands have kind of lost that with most people. You just can't trust in a brand that much.
Can't trust in a brand by nature of they're not in it for you, they're in it for them, and the brand is simply a way of selling it?
Yeah.
Kind of, yes. And
to put a point on it?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Or the fact is that they've lost that loyalty of the customer, and some brands have captured that back, why other brands haven't. So I think that's probably the reason why people don't buy brand as much anymore.
As long as you continue to build and put equity in your brand and make your customer know what makes you different. You know, for instance, a BMW. Okay, we all recognize, well, BMW is a wonderful car. Why? Because it's spend a lot of time and effort making sure to educate you, be out there in the media, be out there in magazines, on TV, same with Ford Motor Company or like U-Haul I'm involved with. You keep on putting equity in your product, communicating the differentiation, you can maintain your brand.
Oh, I agree,
Yeah.
100%.
But if
I'm
you
just
don't- if
saying,
you
so
don't-
many of you've lost it on, I said a big chunk. So maybe I'd say there's maybe 25% brand loyalty as opposed to 75 or what John was saying earlier, because so many people, the brands they produce for a long time, say for instance American-made cars, they lost that basically loyalty, but now they're winning it back piece by piece.
All right, so I guess I'd like to challenge everybody to say, you know what, if you didn't have any words on your homepage, right, of your website, and you had to have, let's say 5 to 10 pictures that you were going to say, this is me, this is my company, this is what's different about us, this is the experience that people are going to have when they do business with us, and this is why you'd care that we exist in the world. What would those pictures be? What would they look like? What would be in them? And I would challenge you not to show your product. I would challenge you to show the experience of doing business with you, how a person would feel. What would make them go, I want to be there, I want to do that. And think about that. And I think every business needs to think about that as we're talking about successful content generation. So I asked Marla to be here this morning. She's with 9 Health Fair, right? And so they reach hundreds of thousands of people through what they're doing in the media and in content and that sort of a thing. And I thought I'd maybe ask you, how do you guys deal with content?
That's an interesting question, and we're doing some work actually with Webolutions to really create the true message that the experience message. But we do touch thousands of people. 80,000 people come to a health fair every year. Many, many more than that know about the health fair just because of 9 News promotion of it. Right? Everybody here probably has heard of it.
I've been.
You've been?
3 sticks to get blood out of me.
Oh, got it. There's one of those.
What was that experience?
Yeah.
It wasn't bath salts.
At least you're here to tell about it, right? So, but we try and get out the content that people have a great experience, that they're owning their own health, that they're happy that they're doing that, and we try and do that every day on Facebook. And then we're not as sophisticated maybe as some people with being able to generate new content for Twitter, so we just use the same content on Facebook, on Twitter.
Website that are on Pinterest that other people put on there, and I'm trying to find out like how
Foursquare is the creators of Foursquare is like 25, 27 years old.
It's like, okay, if that means you let her ask that answer, then you can become an expert.
Hello, I'm Candice Liu. I am a social media consultant. And so we were talking about Facebook, that was our group, and we were talking about, in terms of creating content, we talked about, before, during, and after an event, that creates quality content, I guess, for your audience. So before, you're creating a buzz. During the event, you are reporting on it, and then after. So that's 3 different types of content that you can post for your audience that will generate a lot of value around this one event that you are doing.
That's a great example. So I mean, while you guys were all sharing your tips and stuff, Peter and I were back there, and Andrew may have been doing this too, but we're tweeting the stuff out out to all these tips that we have are getting shared out there to the world. And where I could, I knew your Twitter handle was crediting people who were saying things. So that's correct. It's a great way to use your event to leverage some content that you want to. Thank you, Candice.
I'm Stan Shields, ATA Family Martial Arts. We teach both Taekwondo and kickboxing, and it's an amazing experience. Come check it out.
We did the self-promotion.
That's right. That's right. So we talked, I was with the YouTube group, and one of the questions from the group was, what do you do with your video to get better SEO with the video? And it's been quite a while since we really talked about all of the stages. I think last time we talked about in your video file name, make sure your keywords are in the video file name. That's on your computer before you upload it to YouTube, that you make sure you put 1 or 2 keywords in your video name and join them together with an underscore. But the other major factors that's worked really, really well for me is I make sure the title has the keywords in it, and I vary those keywords based on, I put city name in, and I put the specific keywords for kickboxing, taekwondo, whatever it is that I'm really showing in that. I get the keywords in that title. Then your description should really have your web address very first line, and it's the only thing on that line. Don't mix it in with anything else. So, and do the full http:// whatever, right? That whole thing. Don't just put www. whatever. Make sure you get the full URL in there. And then in your description, make sure that in the very first sentence of your description that you put the keywords in it, so that you've got keywords in your title, you've got your URL, then you have your keywords in that very first sentence in your description, and it's in your file name. That kind of covers all the areas. Did I forget anything? No. Okay, good.
Yeah, Stan actually had a good, we'll call this a learning opportunity or a coaching opportunity. Stan has a Facebook page for his business, and then he created a private group for his demo team, all right? And this demo team does some pretty cool visual stuff. They go out and do those synchronized martial arts stuff. And then, so we did this at the Littleton Block Party, Magic on Main Street they call it now. And so we had parents and so forth videoing this stuff. And then they went and uploaded these videos. This is user, customer-generated content. They uploaded these videos of the team doing all this cool stuff onto the private page where nobody could see it. And Stan had to go back and say, this is great. Could you please put it over here on Facebook, all right? So there's a thing about educating your community about this is great, please do this, and then do it over here. Alan.
You got it?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, hard act to follow.
I'm ready to go play golf.
Hey, I'm Alan Case. I'm with Best Case Solutions. I'm a LinkedIn consultant and trainer. And our tip today is on content is answers. There's a section on LinkedIn called Answers where you can actually ask questions, look at other people's questions and their answers, and you can become an expert doing this. And it's one way to kind of develop yourself as a thought leader on LinkedIn. And so check it out. It does take some time to look through it, find something very specific to what you're doing. I know Steve Roper was there and we were talking about using it for insurance and if there's a specialty within his insurance. So check it out. Where is it? You go to the top tabs, it says more, right under more, you ought to have answers. It used to have its own tab and now it doesn't, I don't know.
Very good. Okay, I'll tell you our tip from Pinterest in the form of an idea that we have that I'm interested now in implementing for 9 Health Fair, which I had no interest in being in Pinterest at all. What I learned today...
They converted you, didn't they?
They did. They did, so they did a good job. Is that if you post a picture on Pinterest, it actually, if people click on that, it goes right to your website, which then obviously drives your website traffic.
My name is John Wigginton. I'm with Multimedia Audiovisual, and I was in the mobile apps group, and lots of discussion about should we have apps for our own pages and mobile optimization for our own website pages. We really latched onto Foursquare. Foursquare is inherently social in its own right. So we discussed different ways of how it could be used for business, and we came down with the tip of expand your network, invite as many people as you can to be part of your network. Yes, still make it a game to try and have the highest score, because with Foursquare, you go to a location and you check in. So I checked into South Metro Denver Chamber, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people here that have already done so today that I am associated with, but there's about 7 more people who are here that I'm not associated with, so I'm going to become their friends. And then when they check into my business, our tip is to leave a message, leave a quick tip. What are you doing? I'm seeing a concert. I'm renting a projector for my business. I'm in South Metro Denver for this thing sponsored by Webolutions. What a great event. So